everyone, Happy New Year. Wherever you are around the planet, you might still be celebrating New Year's Eve. As I watched the sunset last night on 2018, one of my girlfriends said to me how beautiful that as the earth rotates, you know, everyone's going to be watching the sunset on 2018, and then the sun will rise for us all, you know, on 2019, which it is here in Melbourne, Australia, where I am at the moment. So yeah, wherever you are in the world, I hope that you are having a graceful transition. I find, you know, New Year's, I've never actually been a fan of New Year's Eve. I find there's often a lot of hype and a lot of expectation. And what we really need for any transition, whether it's a life transition, whether it's a birthday, whether it's a transition from one calendar year to the next, what we need for it to be a fulfilling experience is to check in on how we're feeling and what our needs are. So, you know, if we don't do that, if we don't take a moment to reflect on what is ending, what we're letting go of, what we choose to be thankful for from the year that was, from the lessons learned, the love that was shown, you know, we don't feel fulfilled. Okay, and then we can chase the high, whether that's through alcohol or drugs or, you know, just partying in general. And then the high is empty. And this is when people end up manic, you know, ungrounded. So, you know, ritual is what helps us to integrate change, to gracefully transition from one thing to the next. So it doesn't have to be, you know, the full frou-frou of drums and smudge sticks and chanting. You know, ritual can be very, very simple, such as watching the sunset, but with intention, you know, of looking into the sun and being grateful for everything that we experienced in the last year, or writing down on what it is you wish to release from the year that was and burning it in a fire or in a candle. And then setting, once you clear, once you release, then you can set an intention for the year to come. So I did a version of that on the dance floor at 5 Rhythms this week here in Melbourne, where we were invited to pass around a river stone in circle and to speak what it was that we were releasing and what it was that we were calling in. And for me, I released independence, which for many, they kind of go, well, hang on a second, isn't independence a good thing? Well, yes, it can be, but, you know, if one is completely polarized in being independent, then that's out of balance. And the opposite extreme is codependence. And it's timely that I speak about this because today Mars goes into Aries. Now, Mars is the planet of action, okay? Yes, it governs, you know, the masculine, which is the masculine in all of us, the doing, the doer, you know, the part that loves to, you know, be productive. And Aries is ruled by Mars. So you may have felt, and I know I did in the lead up to this, just I was like on turbo boost, you know. Oh, hi to everyone that's wishing me a happy new year. Lovely. And to you all. You know, so I watched myself in the last few days in absolute overdrive, you know, just go, 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 do. And then, you know, it's like, well, hang on a second. Is this really working for me? So if you're finding that you are starting this new year going, well, hang on a second, you know, I'm pushing myself too hard, I'm expecting myself to do too much in a small amount of time, then, you know, you'll certainly get a bit of a wake-up call with Mars and Aries in the form of the conflict, the tension, the discord that creates within our own bodies, within our own minds, and then interpersonally around us. So, you know, I mean, I'm absolutely humbled by the people around me that, you know, when faced with my overdoer, you know, try to appease me, and it's like, oh, you know, yes, we'll try to do everything you ask of us, rather than call me on my shadow and go, hang on a second, your plans are unrealistic and the deadlines are ridiculous. So when I realized that, it was, you know, apologies all round, and, you know, restructuring. So that's the positive of this new moon we're coming up to this weekend, January the 5th or the 6th, depending which side of the date line that you're on. We have the sun in Capricorn right now, but we're going to have a partial solar eclipse in Capricorn. We've also got Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn, Mercury in Capricorn. So we've got what's called a stellium of planets, you know, a cluster in Capricorn. So as we approach new moon, okay, so the beginning of the next lunar month, and the void, the time of new beginnings, regardless of whether we're male or female or where our natal moon is, it's happening in Capricorn. So as we approach new moon in Capricorn, it can really bring up shadow Capricorn. And shadow Capricorn, again, I've really seen this in myself this week because I have my moon in Capricorn, is that we can contract in fear, because Capricorn can really go into control dramas, particularly around time. Okay, you know, in the mythos, it's Chronos, father time. And so when we're operating out of shadow Capricorn, we can become such a hard taskmaster, you know, and set rules and be rigid in our thinking, rigid in our expectations, and set the bar so high nobody, including ourselves, can reach it, and then just about kill ourselves trying to pole vault over the the intended goal line. So, you know, if you're noticing that in yourself, you know, this is a time to restructure. Now, restructuring is positive, Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn governs structures, whether that's how we structure our time or the structure we've created for how we live. That could be our marriage, that could be how we live, that could be the structure of our business, that could be the structure of work-life balance. But we need to review our structures, and you'll know if you need to, because your body will sound the alarm. Yeah, Capricorn governs the skeletal structure of our bodies and the joints. So yesterday, when I was completely up my own arse, to use an Australian colloquialism, with fear, I contracted mentally, and that then resulted in contraction physically. Okay, I could hardly stand up. My back was just like, ah. So today, having shifted it, woke up back fine. So it just goes to show that, you know, the body-mind connection is so immediate. So, you know, whilst we can respond with physical modalities like yoga, as I did, there is nothing so potent as shifting the mindset and, you know, really questioning our rigidity, you know. There's a few people laughing there. Yes, trickster energy is when you cock up and you share your cock ups and people learn from that. Seems to be my path. So, so restructure whatever you can. And because this is a solar eclipse, and I'm talking this week, look at what needs to be restructured. Have you set for yourself with that inner slave master, that inner taskmaster, you know, a structure for your life that isn't sustainable? You know, the opposite of Capricorn is Cancer, who looks at the cycles and applies cyclic wisdom to balance, you know, the empire, the hierarchy that we want to build, you know, or the traditions that we seek to uphold. You know, if we don't bring in that softer energy of Cancer, then, you know, we will lose friends and alienate people as we try to build our vision, or, you know, we'll kill ourselves physically. So, you know, it's bringing in, tempering that Capricornian energy with Cancer, which is the inner nurturer that says, okay, everything can be done in the fullness of time. Let's take a cyclic approach to getting things done. You know, so for me, that was, you know, looking at how we can launch things, you know, in another cycle and then another cycle, rather than trying to do it all at once. So currently we have Uranus as well as Mars in Aries. Now, Aries can be impatient. Aries can be like, right, got to get it all done now or it won't happen. And in doing that, we can do ourselves an injury. We can act without thinking. We can be impetuous. And whatever we do this week, because it's the energy of the solar, it's a partial solar eclipse, that will have repercussions for the next 6 months. Okay, so this is absolutely key, that if you are experiencing stress and strain within yourself, okay, then before it impacts your relationships, before it potentially destroys what you're seeking to create, look at where you can, you know, restructure so that you have a scaffolding that supports you rather than something that feels like a prison. Okay, if you're not enjoying the way that you're building your dreams and your visions, it's time to question the modus operandus, the way that you're building. All right, so made a few notes. The solar eclipse that we're having this week, it happens when the moon literally moves in front of the sun from our vantage point on Earth. Now, if we consider that the moon governs the inner self, the feminine, the soul, the emotional, the psyche, and the sun governs the outer self, the persona, the part of us that is social, that is outward, that is interpersonal in the world. We have the inner self eclipsing the outer self. So this week, the inner self, the soul, is likely to go, that's it, okay? Anything that is not sustainable emotionally, that is not, you know, fulfilling on a soul level, it's got to go, okay? So, you know, during a total lunar eclipse, that's when the sun is covered and it's completely dark, and the ancients would fear this as an ominous sign. We're only going to have, oh, one of the cats here is house sitting. Burmese has decided, we don't have a rooster in this video, instead we have a Burmese attacking the furniture I'm sitting on. So, you know, we have the moon partially covering the sun, so it won't be as intense as a total lunar eclipse. But if the soul part of you is flagging, not happy, Jan, got to, you know, address these things. Otherwise, whatever you're trying to do for the next 6 months is going to have more an arc of long-term stress for you. Now, it's also interesting that Uranus, the planet of Kundalini, I call it, it's, you know, the planet of this Aquarian age, this 2,000-year astrological age that we're entering into. But if you think about the glyph of Uranus, you know, it's this jagged line, double line. It is the symbol of energy. It's why we're exploring free energy, you know, and also a lot of people are getting into Kundalini yoga, raising their own bioenergy. So Uranus is going direct on the day of this solar eclipse. So it's been retrograde. In other words, from our vantage point on Earth, it's appeared to be going backwards, but it goes direct on the day of the eclipse. So what that means is the energy of Uranus will be amplified with the eclipse. And Uranus is about expect the unexpected. It's about sudden change. It's about being innovative, doing, moving into the future, being, you know, the creative rebel. So not someone that just rebels for the sake of it, but who actively becomes that which they wish to see in the world. It's about creating radical change, but through a creative solution, okay? It's about people power, you know, coming together from a grassroots groundswell and creating change through the power of the group. So we may see that play out in some way on the world stage in terms of public protest, but in our own lives, it's about really moving forwards into the future that our soul is propelling us to live. So this is a time of huge new beginnings this week. You know, the new moon is always a time of new beginnings, but to have it with both Uranus and a solar eclipse, you know, whatever we commit to do now is going to have far-reaching consequences, because this eclipse occurs in Capricorn. And Capricorn is all about, you know, creating for future generations. You know, this is about a legacy and about long-term commitments. So the key here is to look at what needs some discipline in our lives. Now, discipline can be a bit of a, you know, oh, no, I don't want to hear the word discipline. But discipline is what gives us freedom, okay? If we are allergic to discipline, it ends up impacting our freedoms. So your body may sound the alarm. You know, for me, it's, you know, come up in terms of really needing to be strict in my paleo sort of GAPS diet, because seeing the relationship with my anxiety levels when my gut health is compromised. So for others, it's also for me looking at the discipline with my practice. You know, being here in Australia, the group mind, unlike Bali, is not doing a daily practice at dawn and dusk. And so it is harder to maintain your own practice of doing, you know, yoga, meditation and journaling every day as it has been for me. You know, I might have just done yoga, or I might have just done, you know, meditation, but I haven't done all three as I do back in Bali. So, you know, this is about looking at how our disciplines are the structure that supports us to grow. So, you know, if you don't have healthy disciplines in your life, this is a great week to implement that, knowing that the more people who do that, the more it supports the group mind that then holds everybody, you know. So Capricorn, as I said, is about hierarchy and tradition. So having it conjunct the, what's it called? Oh, God, I can't think of the word. Anyway, Eris. Oh, God, asteroid. So this new moon solar eclipse, we have Uranus conjunct the asteroid Eris. Now, Eris, in terms of mythology, is the goddess of chaos, yeah? So, you know, chaos is simply the feminine, okay? This is when things happen that are beyond what our expectations are. So we're kind of blindsided. If something happens in your life that is completely unexpected, that throws all your plans completely out, trust that it is your soul working with the universe to shift that which does not serve your highest potential and the good of the collective, rather than bemoaning your fate and railing at the universe and throwing the cosmic tanty. You know, this is what you need, even if your ego can't see it, okay? So you may be eclipsed by chaos this week. What else do I want to speak about? Look, you know, shadow, Saturn, we've got Saturn and Pluto, as I said, in Capricorn. So this can be issues around power and control. If we're not in right relationship with these themes, we can try to assert power over others and try to control others if we feel out of control in our own lives, okay? So if you see someone acting out badly, for want of a better word, in shadow Pluto, Saturn and Capricorn this week, instead of you know, reacting with anger, which we can do with Aries, with Mars in Aries and Uranus in Aries, which then, you know, really creates a clash of wills and egos. See beyond the control drama. See beyond the need to assert power and control. And like the Wizard of Oz, see the little man that is behind, you know, the huge projection of the great Oz. And have compassion for this scared, vulnerable, fragile, wounded child that is feeling out of control, that is feeling disempowered and therefore acting out in these ways. And that just helps to diffuse that Plutonian energy, that bomb, so that, you know, compassion is what melts, you know, fear. Okay, so this is about us bringing in, we've got Jupiter squaring Neptune this new moon eclipse. And Jupiter, the lesson here is that we will expand through love. Okay, that is first of all self-love. Okay, self-love is the foundation for agape love, brotherly sisterly love, which is then the foundation for interpersonal romantic love. So, you know, it all comes down to how much capacity we have for love. And, you know, Neptune is the part of us that seeks the ideal life, that wants to live externally the life of our dreams internally. And so we have the opportunity to do that, but we're going to be challenged. Okay, Jupiter is going to challenge us to say, you know, look, the shadow of Neptune is illusions. So where are illusions about yourself and about life inhabiting your growth, inhabiting your ability to truly expand and live your ideal life? And what is an illusion? An illusion is a distortion of the truth. It is a thought form, a conditioned belief that you have taken on, which is not universal law. Okay, it is not divine in its nature. It is of the mind, the fear-based 10% rational mind. So, you know, you may wish to spend some time this week or on this New Year's threshold or New Year's Day contemplating your illusions, your illusory beliefs, and your ideal life. What are your true ideals? What is your mantra for living? Okay, the truth of your soul. And you might like to write that up as the sort of, you know, the creed that you will live by. Because if we consider Jupiter, Jupiter is about the quest. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and we have Uranus in Sagittarius at the moment, and Sag is the philosopher that ponders our thoughts so that we can expand our thinking, all right? And when we expand our thinking, we then expand our heart and our capacity to love, and we expand our life. So, you know, those are the themes of what's happening in the celestial concert around us, which of course is impacting us as smaller fractals and beings of energy. But the other thing I'd like to speak to is neurologically. So we've just come out of an 11 year, 2018. And how do I get to that? Well, if you were to put an addition sign between every digit, so 2018, it adds up to an 11. So the year that we've just come out of, 2018, was an 11 year. 11 is about self-mastery, awakening, you know, the twin serpents, the 11 being one who is truly creative, at one with the life force, at one with themselves, and therefore at one with brother, sister. And 11 is, you know, it's considered a master number. It's about, you know, balance. So we've done a lot of inner work in the past 12 months. There have been a lot of big spiritual tests where we had to really step up and transcend our fears to expand into a bigger version of ourselves. And my knowing is that 2019 is when we now take that out into the world, where all the inner renovation work that went on in the last 12 months is now going to become visible out in the world. And excuse me, 2019, let's look at those numbers. 2 is about cooperation. Okay, so ever since we moved into the year 2000, we're finding our power by coming together. Okay, 2 is about union. 2 is about healing, how we do relationship, how we create, how we cooperate. So we're seeing community becoming more and more prevalent, and communion. The 1 and the 9, 1 is about new beginnings, and the 9 is about endings. So this year, the theme is the more we can let go of past ways of doing things, you know, and our attachment to the past, the more we can expand and have a new beginning. Now, the whole year adds up to a 3. Now, 3 corresponds to throat chakra. 3 is about expression of our true self, our inner self, so that our outer world and our inner world are completely in alignment. And the throat chakra is the 5th chakra. So this is literally the bridge between the heart and the head. So when people have, you know, a pain in the neck, you know, there's some sort of out of alignment between the head and the heart, you know, or between the inner world and the outer life that we're living. So this year is a challenge for us to transcend duality, which is the 2, by inviting the Trinity, the 3 energy, into our life, so that you know, if we're doing things in duality, we're operating out of the lower rational mind, out of solar plexus, which is seeing things as good, bad, black and white, right, wrong, you know, male, female, everything is split, okay? And when we have that sense of us and other, we go into separation mentally, and we're not in our hearts, and so we go into a state of conflict within and without. This year is a call to transcend that, to move not just into the heart, but into the higher heart, okay, where we have the thymus gland. And the energy of this is turquoise, okay? It's, you know, that beautiful blend of masculine and feminine energies. And when we think about our beautiful blue-green planet, that's what we're here to do, to heal through healing our duality. We know that we're, you know, still in duality if our adrenals, our kidneys, our liver, our digestion are not functioning well, creating anxiety in the mental body. You know, and we think about there's more neurons in the gut, okay, all these organs that are governed by the solar plexus. So when we think about the high numbers of anxiety that we have in our culture, and, you know, all the apps and software and devices we have, that every time we get a notification we have a cortisol hit, which is the stress hormone, which really toxifies all of those organs that I just mentioned. So this year is a real call to detoxify on a mental level, so that we can find more peace, more calm, more serenity. And we do that through inviting the Trinity in. So what is the Trinity? The Trinity is seeing the divine in the duality. So rather than polarizing into sisterhood and seeing men as the bad, you know, ones that hurt women, we see the divine in our brothers. Yeah, we see the divine in our sisters. We see the divine in both. Yeah, or similarly, you know, if we are polarizing into seeing somebody as all bad so that we can feel puritanical and superior and all good, we've slipped down into duality. So this year, the 3 energy, we're being asked to heal duality by seeing the divine in all of it. Okay, so to that end, I'm absolutely thrilled to share that I will be, or what I've been shown that is a big piece of my year with my beautiful partner Franz, is we're going to be doing a forgiveness tour around the world, 3 different continents, starting in Australia in March, and then Europe in April, May, and then America in July, actually 4, and then Asia in October, doing a forgiveness ceremony to heal the hurts that have been equally suffered between men and women through ceremony. So I'll be announcing that in the coming weeks. So stay tuned. If you want to be sure to catch an update on that, you can subscribe to my free email list on my website, themoonwoman.com. So we're calling the brotherhood, we're calling the sisterhood. It's time to heal you know, this perception of the other as enemy or as one that we can't trust, in order for us to move forwards as a species, as the one divine experiencing itself subjectively. So, and the other thing that I'm launching this week with this solar eclipse, my first event's in Europe. So I'm very excited to come over to the Northern Hemisphere. A lot of my events have been in the Southern Hemisphere. And I've been shown it's kind of like, you know, a baby turns upside down to birth itself, you know. But now it's time to bring this work to the Northern Hemisphere, where there is a huge legacy of pain in the collective, in the land, in Europa, the goddess of Europe, after the 500 years of persecution of the feminine and of the power and control wielded by organized religion. And so, you know, this is where we see a legacy of fear and pain that has been caused by shadow Capricorn, by the control of hierarchical structures that really enslaved the group mind and the people. So I'm very excited to come with Franz, and we will be doing events. There's a couple of retreats, women's retreats, that I'll be running. The Red Tent Retreat in Ibiza, April 6 to 13, which is going to be a beautiful journey, co-facilitated by Rebecca Ann Wilson, where we do nutrition for a woman's cycle, yoga for a woman's cycle, and deep rebirthing sacred women's mysteries to start the new year. And the cat is clawing the furniture again. And then the Inner Goddess, I'm coming to Greece. I'm so excited. It's like a dream come true after teaching, you know, the mythic realm of feminine archetypes using the Greek goddesses. I'm finally coming to Greece. So we're doing that on the land in Amorgos, which is just, I mean, you know, you have to see it to believe it. So if you want to join me on a Greek island or in Ibiza for a week, I would be absolutely overjoyed. So the details will be out in the next day or so with the Astro Oracle. So whatever you're doing, however you're spending New Year's, I wish you a beautiful transition. And for all of this week, you know, it's an intense energy, but a powerful window to seize the day. And yeah, thanks for following me. Thanks for being part of my community. And I look forward to a beautiful year with you all. And I look forward to meeting many of you at the live events around the world. So yeah. All right, blessings for now, and have a beautiful day.